Problem to solve for a missing angle. So our missing angle is the theta here. I'll just change it to an x so it's more familiar. And I change this to a 6 so it's not exactly the problem, so I don't do your work for you. So the first thing we need to do is label. We say opposite of the 90 is our hypotenuse, the longest side. Then we think of our reference angle of where the x is. That's where you're standing. So opposite of that would be 6. The adjacent side is the one that's left over next to the reference angle, but it's not the hypotenuse. So if we had all three of these having numbers, then you could use SOHCAHTOA or TOA, any one, and get the right answer. But because we only have two, we have to pick the two that go with what we have, the adjacent and the opposite. We're not using the hypotenuse. So the opposite and the adjacent are used with tangent, TOA. We're going to set that up. Tangent of x, that x or the angle always goes right there, equals the opposite side divided by the adjacent. So I tend to recommend, because different calculators are different, you can put in, for some calculators you can put it in exactly like this. Other calculators you might have to actually get the decimal first, then push the tangent buttons. So before we continue and get x by itself, which is our next step, our first step was to set up our ratio. We would like to turn this into a decimal. So I'm going to take my calculator and divide, I think I already have it here, 6 divided by 14. It's 0.42857. 0.42857. So we could round it to 4286, but I don't know if that little amount will do anything. We tend to take the first four numbers. Really, you could round that one up. So this goes in this spot here. So what we really have at this point is tangent of x, which is the angle, equals 0.4285. So in order to get this x isolated to get our answer and to know what button to push in the calculator, we have to get the opposite or inverse tangent to both sides. So that will cancel out the tangent and leave x by itself. And it will also show you exactly what to put into the calculator, the tangent inverse button. What we're really doing is taking like 2 times x and dividing it by itself to get rid of it. So tangent times inverse tangent cancels out the same way. So the final step is to push the second tangent button. So instead of, like I had mentioned, some calculators you can even write it in this order. You push inverse tangent, then put in the decimal. Your iPhone and your Mac computer, at least I know, because that's what this is, they need you to put in the decimal first, which we have. Let me pretend we started fresh. Put in 4285. Then we push our second tangent, or inverse tangent. So if it's written like this, we have to push the second button to get the little -1, the inverse. Click that and we have our angle, 23.2 degrees. In angles, they tend to round to the nearest whole number, so it would be 22 degrees. Hopefully that helps a bit.